If you're wondering what this bruise is, I was bitten by a spider last week, and the only word that I have for it, a word that I don't say often, is that's pretty fucking gnarly. You could see the fang imprint from that little bastard. I swear, man, I mean, this might be off-putting. I swear insects are attracted to me, and you could look at that negatively. You could say that, what are you releasing, some heinous pheromones out of your body? I don't know, dude. Mosquitoes always fuck me up. Wasps are always like flying all up in my grill and shit. All my life, and people always think that I'm just being a drama queen or some shit. I'm just being a little pussy. But a spider, and I feel like this is probably the second time a spider bit me. I was bit at this camp when I was a kid, and I didn't know if it was a spider or not, but it was on my hand, and I had this reaction. There was all this kind of these bumps that went on the front of my hand. I just knew it was a spider because I was playing in some trees, but I didn't know for sure. But the same kind of thing happened right here. It was inflamed. It's gonna take a while to heal. I'm not gonna act like I'm unlucky though. I can't say that I'm unlucky because I looked up spider bites online, and oh my god, like after the bite heals, it leaves behind this ulcer. It's just like an opening that's gonna have to also heal. But mine is just like about half an inch. But other people's are like 6 inches wide, like across their entire body, from real deal spiders. So I'm thankful for that. I'll tell you what this did do, this spider fucking me up. Stuff like that always reminds me of my mortality. It always reminds me that I'm not invincible, that I'm susceptible to even little tiny bastard creatures. I digress from that. Are we ready? Let me just stop to say this. See, this position is rather unsightly for a heterosexual male, which is why I think a lot of men won't ever experience the restoration of yoga because we're so homophobic and insecure with our masculinity that placing yourself in positions that seem, let's say, sexually vulnerable, it's unsightly, and it's even, I think, let me tell you how insecure men are with their masculinity. I think even if a guy was alone, by himself, he still would refrain from placing himself in those kind of positions like this, where all I'm doing is I'm really focusing, I think anyway, on the pelvis. The pelvis is being loosened and freed, that area, and it's unfortunate. It's kind of like how a lot of men are fearful of taking a prostate exam. To be honest, I'm fearful of taking a prostate exam. But the thing about that is I'm just fearful of doctors. I'm a hypochondriac, and I also have I just doubt the competency of a lot of doctors, to be honest. And reading this book by, I believe, Arthur McCrary, if that's how you pronounce his name, from Johns Hopkins, a surgeon, and it's called Unaccountable. He really made me even more skeptical of doctors. Not that he was saying doctors don't have their place, and he wasn't saying that all doctors aren't competent or have perverse profit motives, but it just kind of validated a lot of my suspicions about their intention, their focus, just their overall wholesomeness, and how it's been warped greatly from profit motive, and also just from sheer volume and their tiredness and fatigue. Anyway, let's try not to make this a talking one, huh? I'm trying to whisper. I'm trying to give you an ASMRish experience. Men are insecure. How about that? And fuck you. I wouldn't normally do that. I did that for y'all. Although, fun fact, when I was a kid, I don't know how many of y'all are like this. I heard Ricky Gervais, I think he said he was like this, and that made me feel much better. First of all, I know that whatever traits that I think are unique to me, I know somebody out there has them as well. Like, we all are special, but it's rare that you're so special that nobody has your experiences. But maybe it's a minority, but it's still other people. But when I was a kid, if I would like to, hit my elbow against an inanimate object, for instance, I would get mad at the inanimate object. I would personify it. And I was at a very vengeful attitude towards many things. I was also very angry as well as a child. Often had a lot of love too. It was both. It was a yin and yang. It had a lot of niceness and love and sweetness, but I also had a capacity, a large capacity for resentment and anger and just vengefulness. And because I wanted justice oftentimes, but yeah, whatever. Moving on. Oh, I just want to say this too, and I the reason why this session is not so yelly like as I was in the other one. I internalize frustration a lot. It's not that even I'm not honest about it, but I just feel emotion so strongly that it just it sticks to my muscles, you can say, you know, to put it in a bro sciencey way. But I mean, my brother Eric can attest to the fact that we internalize our frustrations and our disappointments and our insecurities and fears to the point where the voice becomes extremely constrained and all this stuff. It injects itself into our muscle memory, you can say, and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And when this session, the frustration, I've shed a lot of that. And so this one's a little bit more peaceful, as you can see. Is that my phone? Should turn this off, but. Okay, let's see what this is. Oh, that's my boy. I can't do it now. I can't answer it now, brother. Not right now, brother. I'm gonna call you back, Jack. I'm gonna call you back, Jack. What I'm saying. But yeah, I just want to say this, that the first, like right now, I'm good, and so it's gonna be a little bit more peaceful and a little bit more ASMRish, hopefully. I don't know. And but who knows, you know? Who knows what a day will bring? Okay. There's something so intrinsically comical about talking like this. You know, the Saturday Night Live, the joint with was it Sherry O'Terry doing that with Molly Shannon, whatever. Moving on. I have to shut the fuck up. Okay. I'm not even gonna apologize for talking anymore. Whatever. What the fuck ever. You know how I'm rolling. I'm talking or I'm not talking. If I feel like talking, it's because I feel like I got something to say. And I'm gonna motherfucking say it. Another thing. When you see me like doing this stuff or whatever, when it's like slowly moving, I'm inside my body, so to speak, you know? I'm feeling it out. Like I'm not, it probably looks very external and looks probably very superficial. But I'm listening. I'm paying attention to, that's a little cat outside calling her kittens. She's calling her kittens. If you ever watched a chiropractor, there's this one gentleman, his name is Gregory Johnson. He's actually in Houston. This guy, when he's doing his adjustments, you can see him like, he's like, he'll be doing this and like looking up, you know, or closing his eyes, and they're feeling it out. And I see how they're doing that because I'm feeling something very specific, because it probably does appear that like I can just do this and something will happen, but this feels normal. I could do this, something will happen, and this feels normal. You know, if I do this, it doesn't feel like nothing's speaking to me. So I have to just get to a default neutral place of neutrality. And one thing I'll congratulate myself on and pat myself on the shoulder for is that it takes me very little time to do so. But keep in mind that I've been doing this for years and years and years. Not this exactly, but I've been diving inside of myself for quite some time. And so that's why that's why I'm calling it honest. I was going to call this honest listening, but because I'm really listening honestly to the demands of my body, or to the request. Where does it feel rewarding if I move? This doesn't feel rewarding. This doesn't feel rewarding. But what feels rewarding? When I engage in a relaxing of, and then just feels like it wants to go move. Alright, and then this tightness, and then it feels good. There's some rewarding communication happening where it's saying, now do this. Oof. Oh. Now, I'm not claiming that this is something that everybody should do. I've written this, and I'm still open to it being something pathological. And for instance, chiropractors say that you shouldn't self-adjust because it destabilizes the joint. And when that joint becomes destabilized, you always want to pop it. But I have to say that, I mean, I've heard other people say this when it comes to popping their joints. First of all, this is, to me, it's not simply the popping of joints, because, to be honest, what I don't record or what I don't tend to capture is the moments when it's just like, I'm like doing the Tai Chi kind of stuff, and I'm all over the place, and it's like, that usually comes when I'm doing the breathing techniques as well. But I've been open to it to it potentially being something that's superfluous, something that is not necessarily beneficial, but it gives some kind of reward. It releases reward juice, but it doesn't necessarily optimize me. The thing is, though, it's I cannot deny. I have to also be honest in acknowledging that it is optimizing me. I have never been more flexible. My energy levels have been different. I've always suffered from that classic internal scenario of the walls closing in, the tightness, the anxiety, the tension. And the way that I would release it is often by just sort of obsessing over something. Online gaming was one thing, gluttonizing, eating a shit ton of sweets or something. And it's not that I'm not still subject or capable of falling prey to those kinds of impulses, but this greatly reduces, it greatly minimizes, it helps a lot with a lot of the other, you could say, pathological issues that I have. I always, man, when I'm doing these sessions, I feel renewed. I cannot deny that I feel renewed. I cannot deny that my mobility and my just overall sense of well-being, it feels uplifted. And yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this, yeah. Oh. Ow. Oh, sometimes you get a fucking jolt, man. It's like your body's like, get up, get out, and get something. You know? Oh, man. That's what I'm talking about. There's an end. Okay, let me get back to this. Let me get back to this position. To be honest, I'm limiting myself a little bit for the sake of y'all, and don't be don't feel too bad, because I do this on my own in the way that I want to 100%, because like I'm limiting myself to being precisely here for the sake of the recording, and I'm not, it's all good, I'm still getting benefit from it, but like I said, a lot of times what it involves is me, for instance, let's see what happens when I do the slow breathing technique. It gets me a little bit, there's various ways, right? So one, I feel like there's 3 ways in which I engage in this, what I consider to be bodily restoration. I can either just purely listen to what reward is telling me. Like if it felt rewarding to move my arm this way, then I would indulge that and follow it to the point where it would have me twist and turn. That's one way to listening. The other way is to engage in pure thoughtlessness, to cease my thoughts. And you might say, like, how, like, in case you're confused about what I mean by ceasing my thoughts, I don't know how your mind works, but the way mine works, my thoughts produce like a heartbeat. They're constantly going, no matter whether I like it or not. So undeliberately, involuntarily, my thoughts are always going, and I've learned how to purposefully cease them. And when that happens, a lot of crazy stuff happens. So that's another way. And then the same kind of bodily restoration happens, just a little bit different, it's a little bit more pronounced, it's a little bit more hardcore and weird. And the other way is through breathing, or through giving my undivided attention to breathing, which intrinsically in doing so engages thoughtlessness, to be honest. I first experienced this, but I didn't realize, I didn't see how it was tethered to thoughtlessness so much. But when my brother Eric was showing me these various breathing techniques, and also when he had bought this yoga book and then read the yoga book, and they had alternate nostril breathing, all these other things, I saw the power of breathing, the power of breathing exercises, let's say. And there's something about it that's quite magical, that has its own power. And for instance, just concentrating and trying to breathe in through your nostrils as slow as possible, it initiates some kind of some kind of process that is similar to everything, the other things I'm doing. So those are 3 things. There's the breathing, there's the pure listening, and then there's the pure thoughtlessness. All of them involve thoughtlessness, to be honest. All of them involve undivided attention into some bodily maneuver. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Let's do that. Let me do the breathing through the nostrils. By the way, this right here, the body oftentimes My body genuinely wants to go here. It wants to do this, which I find interesting because you see all this and you think it's just a superficial position. That I find that a lot of the yoga positions that you see, my body does them on its own, and I find it very interesting. It comes to this a lot, and it's like does this kind of stuff a lot. Might as well be tutting, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like damn near like if you're familiar with anime, Naruto movements and shit. It's similar. I'm not claiming, hey look, and I ain't claiming I got powers. I ain't claiming I'm stronger than other people as a result of this, that I'm gonna live longer as a result of this. All I'm saying is it has some benefit for me. It make me feel better. It make me feel better. Alright? Alright, let's go. I'm gonna do slow breathing, because I feel like I need it. And plus I'm talking really low because I have my window open and people be listening. Okay. No. And plus I'm trying to be quiet anyway. I want to get ASMR y'all asses. I want you to be watching this shit and you just fall asleep. Okay. Let's go. I'm gonna do the slow breathing. So that's from me. So there's two things that are happening, right? What it feels like, just to give you an idea what it feels. I'm concentrating on breathing through my nostrils very slowly. And at the same time, my body is like, hey, I want to go here. Hey, I want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'm just like, essentially, the way I look at it internally, what it feels like is I'm giving myself permission to do it. It's similar to how you would give yourself permission to urinate in front of a crowd. You know, like, would you piss in front of people while they're looking at you? No. But imagine being audacious enough, brave enough. I'm saying, let's say if you had to do it to save a life or some shit, I don't know, for $1 million. And imagine being audacious enough, bold enough to give yourself permission to do so. And let's say you had to do it while having a conversation. I guess that's a better way to put it. Let's say you had to simultaneously pee in front of people while talking. I don't know, fuck, this is a horrible analogy. My point is, I use the bladder example a lot because that's one I think clear example of a process that requires you to internally communicate. Yeah. And I don't know, like blinking, I guess, moving your hands, internal communication, but that stuff seems so much more external. And but the bladder release, I mean, I used to suffer from pee shyness. Sometimes I still fucking suffer from pee shyness, like, but not anymore, not so much. Like when I was younger, I used to, like, it'd be hard for me to pee, and like when the restroom's packed and people are behind me and shit, I'd be like, I could, because apparently, like, I couldn't relax. I used to not be able to relax. You know, I can't fucking relax enough. I'm like, how y'all so fucking relaxed? You just go in there, psst. I'm like, man, everybody's around me. I have like fucking anxiety, man. Like, and so it's similar to that. Okay, let's see. Wanna do one more slow nostril breath? Let's do one more slow nostril breath, yeah. I'm just trying to get it all centered again. Just feeling. Okay. Let's breathe slowly, shall we? My knees popping. That wasn't. That had nothing to do with yoga. My knees just fucking popped. By the way, it's not indicative of some kind of ailment. It's merely air passing through the something or other. And I've always had that shit. I've always had crackly knees. I apologize for that. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Honest yoga coming at you. Alright. Yo, I'm done. I think I tired myself out from trying to talk simultaneously. I just wanted to speak to you guys. I just wanted to talk to you this time. Okay. Namaste. Going to the light, as Adrian with yoga says. Watch her videos. She has good videos. There was one that I recommend because I watched it in the past. I'm not even gonna say. I'm not saying that I'm above mimicking yoga patterns from somebody else or something like that. I used to do that. I read the yoga book that had like various positions. I would do the classic positions, and I would not do this intuitively. But now, I'm sorry, I'm doing it intuitively because my body's talking to me, and I'm gonna listen to it, and I'm gonna trust it until it gives me a reason to not trust it. I'm gonna trust it. Okay, y'all. Honest yoga number 2. Peace and blessings.